Hello everybody and welcome back to another book review. It's your boy HSR and this is my little series where I take you along with me on my quest to read 60 books this year because a meme said CEOs did it. So I'm gonna do it too, fit it into my life. I recommend you read more honestly. It's changed me a little bit. I'm a little calmer, a little wiser than I was before I started this quest. But y'all are here to hear about, so I've been kind of just talking about the books in the order that I've been reading them. It's not the most scripted video, so if I fuck up, I keep it in. We like to keep it a little raw over here. We also swear sometimes. So today's book that we'll be discussing is, in fact, The Design of Everyday Things. Yeah, you can see it. Cool. So this guy was originally called The Psychology of Everyday Things. And if you think about that title, it kind of acronyms up as poet. See, a little bit of humor from the author Donald Norman, who has put this together for us. It was originally published in 1988 based off of some class he was teaching, like a lot of these books seem to be. And the version that I have here, this yellow little guy, is actually the updated version in 2013. And he takes it as a mark of pride that his first version lasted 25 years and he hates writing. So in a perfect world, he don't have to touch this book for 25 years and the principles apply because for the most part, the principles lasted that long. So, he didn't change the content, but he did update the name to the design of everyday things since he felt it was less cute and more applicable. So what this book does is at first I thought it would be like graphic design or something, and nah, it's talking about like regular everyday everything design, like how all objects have design. So it starts off with like describing the psychology of everyday things. He uses like just in regards to the design of how they're put together. He takes you through the various language used to describe the systems that surround all design, and I found out that there were systems that surrounded all design. I mean, it's stuff that like you might inherently know exist, but you don't really often take the time to think about and to really consider, like doors. They're surprisingly hard to design. They seem so basic, but let's say you just come across a door and there's no markings on it. Do you push the door? Do you pull the door? It's not very clear. Maybe it's a sliding door. Maybe you have to try some stuff and it embarrasses you or something like that. So the book kind of like starts you off on that point of view, just making you maybe consider like basic stuff like faucets and just the actual complexity behind these objects and the design that actually went into them all. And then describing how things need to become standardized and agreed upon and stuff. So it flows into like the psychology of everyday actions, which is a little bit exploring how we think when we approach new objects and new designs and how we interact with the world. And he kind of even describes this, and he goes into later detail in the book, but even just how we attribute blame to ourselves almost instantaneously if we fail to understand the nature of a design. So I work in software, and I can safely say that sometimes features are poorly designed, but you as a person may encounter one of these features, click on a bunch of stuff, and feel bad because you couldn't accomplish your goal. A great example of this is the older versions of Windows, and I guess what created the anxiety in all of our parents and stuff that made them need to call us and be kind of afraid to do anything on their own, the scary error messages and the fact that maybe the language wasn't super clear and understandable to folk who were less savvy. So what ends up happening is folk make mistakes along the way, but not because it's their fault. We can all agree that earlier versions of the Windows operating system weren't exactly designed with the end user in mind. I mean, there were improvements and there were innovations, but when you really get into the nitty-gritty of how to find stuff, when you really compare an XP to a Windows 10, it's you can see how it went from being like you had to know what's up to go through the computer and make some changes, and not that the basic layout has even changed much, but the language, the design, the the guided assistance, the feedback loops to ensure that you can know when you're making a mistake or to get you to the correct thing. All of this has improved so much, and this is kind of all following what the design of everyday things will take you through. It's just whether it be in your job and or in your life, or if you draw stuff, or if you create anything. I mean, there's going to be some kind of design component. And it kind of is skills that translate beyond, let's say, the aesthetic concept of design. And it can be applied to processes or projects, or it's almost like a way of thinking to keep design in your focus. And at the end of the book, it summarizes how to take these concepts and bring them back to your business. All of these books from all of these designer dudes have this chapter that's like, your CEO is going to ignore you and he's not going to listen and he's going to think about monies and numbers and go fuck yourself is that last chapter. And it's usually there. And it's kind of sad, right? Because it's like you have all these brilliant and awesome principles and you get yourself hyped up. Now, I'm not trying to invalidate the book. This is just the reality of a situation. If you come up to your boss with the best design in the world, but it costs too much money and the ROI isn't there, he's going to flip that and be like, yo, where's my minimum viable product? And we can cut these corners and this, that. You see where I'm coming from? It's realistic stuff. I'm not trying to complain about anything. It's just why this chapter's there, and it gives you some advice on how to navigate these fields and ultimately thrive for success and all that. I was very happy with this book. I thought it was beyond interesting. I thought it was easy to read. And if we flip over, super good spacing on the pages. Every now and again, you're going to get some pictures and some relevant things to compare to. As an example, you should look up the Masochist Teapot. This is something I learned about in this book and is an example of a complete design failure. It fails to do the basic teapot thing in any reasonable way. And when you look at that on the Google, you will see what I'm talking about. So it's a really simple read. The book, it might take you a minute. It's not the smallest book, but if you're going to do anything that requires any kind of design in any kind of the granular word of the sense of the word, this book will help you. And even if you don't, it'll help you recognize what good design principles are. And I don't know about you, but in this ever-growing visual technological world, I think we all could benefit from that kind of knowledge. So as far as recommending this book goes, don't let the topic or the subject matter scare you. This is the kind of book most of us should be reading in terms of the kind of knowledge that if we all had, we'd all make a little bit wiser decisions. So I could not recommend this book enough. There will be a link to the book in Amazon Canada below. I'm certain if you see the book, you can find it on whatever Amazon you have. This is just my Amazon, so that's why I put that link. And yeah, let me know if you've read it. Let me know what you thought of this little video here. We just finished the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest, and we're going to, set that up in the future for future contests. So if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment, you get to enter into our future contests that haven't been announced yet. I also started a Patreon recently, so if you go to patreon.com/behindthatsuit, you can put in, and if you become a Patreon, you can basically enter the request raffle, which includes books. So if you want to see me read your favorite book and talk about it, you can opt to make that happen. That's a realistic thing. I can't promise how fast it'll be, but I'll make that happen for you within the price range limit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so let me know what y'all thought. Thank you for being here. I could not express how much I appreciate the fact that anyone, if you watch this, I don't care about the view count. If you are watching this, you are an incredible fucking person, and thank you. Have yourself a great day.